Hey friends, welcome back to Daily Sews and Stuff. This is the exciting week where we finally get to cut something. Yay! I'm gonna have one more video next week on digitally altering with Adobe, and then we're gonna take a break from this series, do some other stuff, and we'll come back to it. So I'm super excited though, we finally get to cut. I'm also going to sit here and eat some ice cream today while I do this intro, because I really wanted a bowl of ice cream, but I needed to get this done. So we finally reached the point where we can cut. We have bought a projector, we have mounted a projector, we have calibrated our projector, and now it's really time to use it. And it can be super exciting to get this to this point, but it can also be intimidating because now what? But it's so easy. It takes a little bit of courage just to take that plunge and start doing something different, but I promise you are going to love it. So the first thing you're gonna do is get your pattern up on your computer. Do any sort of alterations you might want to do, which will be next week's video. And make sure that you've chosen only the layers that you want to project. And I said computer earlier, whatever your computing device is. On phones and other mobile devices, there's a program called Zodo, I believe it's pronounced Zodo, that allows you to choose those layers. So choose only the layers that you need, or possibly the one layer that you need if you're lucky enough to fall into only one size. And we will go ahead and project just that size so that it's easier to see exactly where you need to cut. So you'll turn on your projector, you'll get your fabric laid out, and you'll start cutting. It's so easy. It is so much less prep than anything you've done before. So I'm gonna turn this off, I'm gonna finish my ice cream, and then I'm going to get cutting on something for my husband that I'm going to film for you guys to see what I do. One thing we didn't discuss last week is that in order to keep your zoom percentage when you go full screen, you will need to change a setting on your Adobe. You go from Edit, Preferences, and then unclick this fill screen with one page at a time. And from then on, you should be able to go full screen without it changing your zoom percentage. So make sure that setting is correct on your Adobe, and then click off the layers you do not need and type in your correct percentage. You're going to connect your projector to your computer. You will drag your Adobe over to the other side of your screen. We talked about that before. You just take your mouse up here, click, and drag it over. I don't have mine connected yet, so I can't show you. And then you will hit Control L to make it go full screen. And that is all you need to do to project a pattern when you don't need to do any alterations. This next part of the video is going to be in real time with very few cuts. I really wanted you to get a sense of the actual time it takes me to cut with a projector, and this was just a little over 20 minutes, and that includes all of my narrating and things that I did a little bit slower because I was talking to you guys. I think it really shows how quick a projector makes cutting. I'm connected to my computer. I have my projector on, and I am projecting the pattern that I am planning to cut. The thing that is nice about projector patterns versus projecting an AO is projector patterns can hopefully be lined up in the correct way that most of us are cutting, and you won't have to shift everything as much. But it's totally fine, we can make it work either way. Something that I know I'm going to want to do is this shirt is longer than 24 inches. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down to rotate clockwise, and that gets me with the pattern going the correct way. But personally, I'd rather the top of the pattern be over here. So I'm going to right click, rotate clockwise, and right click, rotate clockwise one more time. And that's going to get me all the way where I want it. Now I've got the top of the pattern here, the bottom of the pattern here, and I am golden for cutting out this pattern. I'm not going to need my keyboard anymore. I've already made it full screen. I've already made sure the percentage is correct, so I'm going to set that aside. And I am still going to need my mouse just to move things around, so I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to grab my fabric and put that on. Okay, so I've used this hand grabby tool, grabbed my pattern, manipulated it around. Again, whenever it is a projector file, usually a designer will add more white space around so you can manipulate it more, but this is going to work just fine. So I've got it manipulated where my pattern is kind of here in the most central place I can put it. And I've got my fabric. Now something that takes a little bit, guys, I forgot something important. Really important. Okay, piece of paper, quilting ruler, find my square. On this pattern, it's a 1-inch square, and I am testing that it is truly 1 inch, and it is. We're good. Generally, you can trust your percentage, but every pattern company is slightly different, and sometimes there's a slight change that may need to be made. Okay, back to this. Putting my pattern where I want it centrally, setting aside my mouse, and getting up my fabric. Something you have to get used to is, and it's really helpful once you get used to it. You know, usually we put our fabric down and then we put our pattern on top of it. So our fabric can go anywhere we want to, and we manipulate the pattern based on that. But we also can't see the pattern as we're laying out our fabric. Well, this is kind of the opposite. The fabric we need to place underneath the pattern, but we can always see the pattern no matter what we do. If I pile another piece of fabric on there, I'm still going to see my pattern. So like I said, it's like a shift in your way of thinking, but it really is helpful. So I am making sure that I've got the correct grain here. And I am going to cut this on the fold, but I'm laying it out singly first. And I'm going to get it, my stretch is going the correct way, my grain line is going the correct way, and I am getting it just so. And now, one of the things that works really well because it's projecting, and so the pattern is always on top. Now, I can take it and fold it until I hit that fold line. Walking around. I walk around my table a lot, and the only thing is now I have to watch my head for that projector. So I'm going to walk around. I'm going to get things situated. My Me Made today is just my shirt. It is the Ellie & Mac Everyday Tee Relaxed. And this that I'm making here is a Made for Mermaids Men's Lee Raglan. And it is a present for my husband for Father's Day. So now that my fold was just slightly not on the fold line, so I'm just barely scooting my fabric over. Now, because of where I put it, I could have put my projection farther down there, and I should have. But because I didn't, I'm kind of having to squish my fabric a little bit to keep it on the cutting table. And I feel like something is not quite on grain here. Hold on. Oh, well, that's because it's not. Let's get you situated. Okay. everything lined up on the fold. Alright, now I have little pieces of sheet metal under my mat. That I got from the roofing section at Home Depot. I actually need to get some more so I can cover the whole thing. But it means I can throw down some magnets and they will hold my fabric in place. I don't think that last one hit a piece of metal, but that's okay. And something else I like to do is use a ruler, especially on those flat edges, so that it holds down my fabric really well while I'm cutting. So, got my ruler, got my rotary cutter. Here we go. I'm following that line at the bottom there. I'm going to move my magnets a little. Follow this line. And then follow this line. And then I'm just going to let the magnets work for me over here. Something I often do and didn't do this time and should have is I mark my notches when we going out. We'll talk about that next week some more, but because I forgot to do it earlier, I'm going to go ahead and just cut that notch first so I don't forget. And I'm going to go from the other side and cut this arm side. Okay, did I get that? Not quite. Not quite. There we go. All right. So I have the front of this shirt cut. It is seriously that fast. Okay, I'm gonna use my mouse, grab hold of the fabric or the pattern a little bit. Now, this is now gonna force me to cut on the bottom of my projection. I try not to do that because there's a little bit more of a distortion down here, but it is not the end of the world. It will certainly still be close enough. So here we go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line things up on my single side. Fold things over. Ooh, that's going to fit. Awesome. I'm making this for my husband. My kids already have some raglans with this kind of gray color as the main shirt and a darker kind of charcoal as the sleeves. And they all have Star Wars vinyl on them that I made. So we are making one for my husband for Father's Day. And I think that means I need to make myself one too, just because. So I'm going to throw out my magnets again. Oh, all of my, this is why I need more of the metal. All of my metal's over there. So I'm going to drag it over here. Line things back up. throw some magnets back down. Whoop. Go that way. That's pulling a little bit, so I'm gonna move. This fabric is just pulling because it's all pulling off of there, so I'm gonna flip it up right here. Get that. There we go. Using my ruler. Cut. See if I can do this without walking in front. You can also see that when I altered this, I left a sharp angle. I plan to kind of curve it out a little bit when I sew it. I'm not entirely worried about that, because I was just trying to do this quickly. All right, doing my notch there. Ooh. It's hard to see from this angle, but knowing where my notch was, let me aim for that. Go up to the top, cut the neck, shoulder piece. Oops, all the way to the neck. Okay. All right, and front and back is cut. Okay, got my mouse. Let's see. I need to scroll to the next page to get to the sleeve, which is all by itself on this page. And there's a tiny piece of trash. Well, that did not go where I wanted it to. Pick that up later. The sleeves I'm going to cut to mirror image, obviously. Because it's a raglan. So, I know myself. And I know if I don't cut them at once, it ain't gonna happen. I'm going to cut one of the sleeves twice, and it's just gonna be sad. So, let me see, where's my stretch? That's my stretch. Wait a minute, what are we doing? Let's see. Yes. That's my selvage, right? Yes, you're my selvage. Alright, so I'm going to line the selvage up. My grain line is way over here, so I might grab a ruler if I feel like I need it, but for the most part, I tend to eyeball grain line, and it seems to work for me, so I'm going to keep doing that. Alright, I'm going to fold my fabric over, walk around, oops. It is sometimes annoying staying out of your own way with the projections shadow, but I prefer the freedom of walking around over not fighting that. Helps me kind of to get at all those angles. So, let's see, that seems a little off. Oh, that's better. Okay. It's really wrinkly on this one spot. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my fabric so it's not pulling anywhere. The kids' shirts are 3/4 sleeves, and this pattern is only short sleeves and long sleeves. So I have added myself a, where did I put my magnets? There. I've added myself a cut line right here. husband does not have any raglan shirts already, so it was kind of a guesswork, but I think it's going to be fine. And if not, he'll wear it anyways to match the kids, at least for a day. No. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just use this ruler to help hold down the fabric too, even though these next ones are going to be curves and I can't exactly use it. I'm just going to hold it here while I follow the curve. And not forgetting about my notches. It's really important on a raglan to get your notches so you get your sleeves going the correct way. Okay. And the front notch. So not including the time that I altered the pattern just a little bit before we started filming. Whoops. That is really all it takes. It is really, really fast. There's no printing, there's no taping, there's no gluing, there's no nothing. You just project it and cut it. I still need to do the neckband. I decided I would go ahead and show you what I do when I can't see something like that cut chart. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate clockwise one more time so it's right side up again. And I'm going to zoom it to 100%. Too big if I'm going to try to actually cut, obviously. But it also makes this very big. And I can also grab a handy dandy white sheet of paper, and that makes it very clear. So the basic shirt was an XL, and I needed a neckband, which is a cut 1, and it's 2.5 by 20. So I know I need 2.5 by 20. And I'll pull out my fabric again. And actually, if that's 2.5 there, there's certainly 20 inches of width there. I bet I can make this work. So I'm going to cut this out, this 2.5 by 20 neckband, and that is everything I need to sew. Boo! And that is everything I need to sew up this raglan for my husband. There's a wobbly cut there. There's a wobbly fabric here. This fabric, I believe, is from, it's either from Surge Fabric Shop or it's from a Etsy company. Whichever it is, I will post a link in the description. Two and a half by 20. And that'll get there. Alright, you are awfully funky there. There's a tiny nick in it, but that will definitely be in my seam allowance. And I didn't cut cut away from some fabric that would be useful for something else, like making myself one of these shirts. Okay, friends, that's it. That's all you need to do. It is so easy and so fast. It changes the way you sew. I promise. It speeds you up. It is so worth all the effort you put into choosing your projector, mounting your projector, calibrating your projector. It's great. Next week, we alter projector files with Adobe just to get our alterations that our own personal bodies will need. And then we're going to take a break from this projection series, but I'm definitely coming back to it because I am so passionate about this right now. I am loving, loving, loving projector sewing.
Thanks for watching my videos. Like, subscribe, and comment.